K4K first responders. I want to go over this. This is really unique. It's really cool. You're doing some things with the first responders, and I want to go over just a little bit of the idea. Where did the idea come from? Did it come from James, or did it come from you, or do you guys kind of collaborate on this together?
Yeah, Mike. So, my partner and I, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and my CFO, we were talking. He was saying, what are some other aspects that we could use our products in? And one of those that he came up and he said, what about first responders? And we just kind of left it there, right? Fast forward to when James and I, met and got to talking. He started to learn more about what I do with my company.
Right.
And he said, Kev, the disposable sheets that you guys created that's used in pre-surgery exam, he said, first responders, that would be a good distraction for first responders. And I thought, yeah, great idea. But what James brought to the table is that he used to be in law enforcement.
Right.
And he's still in law enforcement. And he taught me a lot in regards to why the disposables would be good for first responders and the kids that they come in contact with.
So you said something just a minute ago, distraction. And James, I want you to elaborate on that. So we have a disposable bed sheet that has games on it that Kevin has been working with the hospitals, and you see it and go, man, this will be a good idea for first responders. Can you elaborate what that distraction is?
Well, normally it's based upon the service call that first responders are actually responding to. So whether it be vehicle crash, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be some sort of mental episode or something that's actually taking place in the neighborhood. I think it was 1989, we actually started a program called the Teddy Bear program, really.
Right.
Where law enforcement would actually provide a kid maybe between the ages of 3, 4, 5 years old, a teddy bear. But what we realized is that, you would give the kid the teddy bear, they would hold the teddy bear with one hand and hold mama's hand with the other.
Right.
Right? So, the thought when I was having a conversation with Kevin was that, this is not, we need to develop a tool that will assist first responders, not only in reference to mediating and alleviating some of the stress and strain that the young people were going to be facing, but also to be able to distract them. So now we can do what we need to do with the adults, right?
You're looking to defuse the situation, but also distract the children from being involved in the adult heated argument or whatever is going on. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it changes the entire environment. It changes the entire environment, whether it is a vehicle crash, whether it is domestic violence, whether it is some sort of abuse or neglect. It really does not matter what is taking place in reference to that. But then it also continued to expand, and the way it was able to expand, Mike, was relatively organic. Because one of the things that I was dealing with all the time was, how do we change the narrative that's out there in reference to first responders, in particular law enforcement in the various neighborhoods? How can we show a certain efficacy and benevolence that we've always shown, but something that was going to be really tangible now, that went down and transferred down to our lowest or our youngest community members, which happens to be these kids. It's like between the ages of 4 and 10 years old. So if we could actually provide some sort of tool for first responders to offer them, then that shows that efficacy and that benevolence. But the other thing that came from it was, this whole idea that now we have officers who are actually sitting in their vehicles sometimes, and you may see an adult with a child between the ages of 4 and 10, and we're always telling our personnel, now listen, we want to get out, meet the neighborhood, meet the individuals within the neighborhood.
Right.
So it became a real icebreaker for them, right? So what they would do is now they could get out of their vehicle, go up, introduce themselves. I'm Officer Johnson, and provide the kid with the kit, and the kid eyes gets big, right? And sometimes when you have an opportunity, you can open it up and sit there with him and take and assist them in taking or extracting some of it from the package itself. So now think about the impression you will have on the young person. And also think about the impression that you're going to have in reference to the adult as well.
Right.
Okay. So, but that's a small piece of it, because what are you doing now? What you're doing now is you're actually ingraining something in that young person where they're saying, you know, first responders, law enforcement, fire, EMS. Someone asked them the question later on, well, what do you want to be doing? Oh, I want to be a fireman. I want to
Right.
be a law enforcement
You
officer.
don't hear that as much anymore.
No. And it's all because of that one interaction, right?
Well, they used to be the heroes.
They used to be the heroes. They have always been ambassadors,
Right.
right? But they also used to be the heroes, and this gives them an opportunity to be that hero again. It gives them an opportunity to be that ambassador again. So now, if we're dealing with recruiting, right? Because communities always say, you know, we'd like to have individuals who are from the community. They know the community best, and this is how we think we're going to be served best
Right.
by first responders. There's a lot of other pros in regards to this kit. We don't have enough time.
Right.
But what we have found is this, that if you ever truly want to help yourself, you must first seek to help others.
Absolutely.
So that's what's happening with the profession. We know that we need to get more recruits. We need to get better recruits. We need to make certain that the relationship that we have within the community is a strong relationship, because there's that tenet or that pillar that says that the police are the public and the public are the police, right? Because we don't fall from the heavens. You know, you can't just pluck us like you would an apple from a tree. And I'm an old country boy, and the fact of the matter is you can't go and dig us up like a potato, right? The fact is we come from the community. This is an opportunity to connect some of those dots.
You have social media?
I do.
Yeah, so I was on Instagram, I think a year or two ago, and there was a basketball player, and then like a kid, and he was shooting hoops, and the police officer stopped his car, got out, and started playing hoops with the guy. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did. I did.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, that's cool, opening the door for a better relationship. We need better relationships with law enforcement. You know, and I don't think we have a bad relationship with firefighters, because firefighters to me are the guys that jump in, and they're like the guys that want to. Anything happens, they're like the first ones to jump in and put their lives on the line, right?
Yeah. Even with fire and EMS, the fact of the matter is they all still fall under that umbrella of serving and protecting.
Yeah.
Right. As a matter of fact, I think I had 2 officers from Stallings last week.
Yeah.
That was actually in a training, because one of the things that we do is we provide leadership training for law enforcement, every profession, but in particular law enforcement, and they were actually there. And just to hear those guys, you know, talk, especially at the end of the session, like an 8-hour session, I do believe. And they came and they said, you know what, this is absolutely great. This is wonderful. Some of the best training that I've had as a law enforcement officer, because we had an opportunity to talk about the K for K as well. And as we was talking about the K for K, we talked about the benefits of that. So in essence, you know, with what Kevin has been doing with the hospitals, with what I've done, with what you're doing now, you know, the idea is how do we find a constellation? And when I say constellation, I'm talking about a constellation of ideas, a constellation of individuals who are actually out to try to ameliorate the community best we possibly can, and then put them together. Because if you look up in the sky, you'll see one star, and it's a great light, right? But how about a constellation of stars? When you see that, things get even brighter. And that's one of the things that we believe that the K for K is going to have an opportunity.
Well, let's look at this kit. What do you got in it, Kev? And you guys just sat around and decided what was going to go in it?
Well, not really. A lot of the items that are in the kit are also the items that we utilize with our playtime bed sheet.
Gotcha. So you've got some traction,
Right.
a little bit of data on
So
what's
these
what.
items are curated.
Okay.
And meaning that they have multiple outcomes, and they're part hygiene and then they're part toys, and they have multiple uses as well.
Okay.
So the main thing that I'll start with is
Look at these things.
disposable.
So we got a stress ball. What's this?
Well, everything revolves around the disposable, right?
Okay.
So this is the disposable that we use in the hospital,
Okay.
right? And I'll take the rubber band off and just kind of open it up a little bit. So the audience.
So this is a
can see it.
disposable bed sheet.
It's a disposable fitted sheet,
Okay.
and we designed it with all these different activities on it.
Okay. I'm gonna hold up to the camera a little bit, kind of.
Yeah.
So there's basically an activity on here.
Right. It has streets on it. It's colorful. And it's really a great tool to distract children in the hospital
Okay.
pre-surgery. But like James was explaining, it's also great. Officers pull up to the scene. There's a situation. There's kids standing, off the scene, but they're seeing everything that's going on, right? And there's some issues that come about with that James is really great at explaining. We want to provide that officer with a resource that they can identify the situation, go in their trunk, pull this out, take this over to the child, and distract the child during that service call. So it has a plush toy, right? This is our little teddy bear. And then it has a Rubik's Cube. We grew up playing this,
Yeah.
right? Multiple outcomes.
Still have never solved it.
It has it has Play-Doh, which is hand therapy.
Love Play-Doh.
It comes with a first responder car, and then on the fitted sheet itself, there's first responder cars that you can color in, and it has crayons to provide them with that activity. It has another kind of Rubik's Cube-ish like game, and then it has a therapy ball, right? It also has noise canceling earplugs that are part of this set as well. And then it has hand wipes. So, and it has a Band-Aid as
And
well.
I think I saw the other one with Band-Aid,
Right.
and it was a cool looking Band-Aid. It was
colorful.
yeah, it was like a rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked really
Yeah.
cool.
And it all comes in this little see-through pouch. The one thing that James and I have been able to make it really community driven is by sponsoring or working with the first responders. Their agency shield goes on one side, and then the sponsor shield goes on the other side.
Okay, so if you look at this tag on the camera, it's got the shield of the department, and then it's got the sponsor of who actually donated the bag.
Yes, sir.
Got it. So what's a donation look like?
So we created, when we created this, we went back and forth because we wanted it to be something that would cover the cost of the items here.
Gotcha.
And James had this great idea, and he said, Kev, you know anything about 1838? It represents the city of Boston. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the city of Boston, the first law enforcement individuals, Boston funded them, right? Their first police department was funded in 1838.
Oh, wow.
So even our cost, there's a meaning behind it. So this unit or per unit, they're $18.38.
Oh, I love that. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Who came up with that? You did, James?
I like to say it was a team effort. That.
You suggested. This is very good.
So that was all James, right? Because
No, it's cool.
it was just a
So
date.
how many of these have you actually donated?
So we just did our impact report about a week ago. Sent that to our sponsors, and I think it was over
It's about 2,800 to 3,000, I believe.
3,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
we've had over how many volunteers? About 300 volunteers that we get together, and we put together team building events, and we have first responders there, chief of police, and then corporate America. They had their team members, and we create an assembly line, and we actually all come together and we put these together.
Oh, wow.
So we've had over 300 volunteers, and then we receive a lot of media coverage. Every event we do, we have no less than 3 media outlets there to cover it. So
When you say an event, this is a putting together event. This is to bring the items. So you get the bag,
right,
you got these, and you've got shipments that come in, and you now are putting the bags together and zipping them up and putting them in
that's right.
storage. And then where do they go from there?
We give them to the police departments, and they
You
take
just
them
go
out.
around.
No,
donate.
they're there, so they
Oh.
take them with
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
them. Right. They
So how
take
many
them with
does
them.
each department usually get?
James handles the numbers, and it's really, I guess, based on his formula. Speaking with,
Are you
those
outside the
individuals.
state of North Carolina, or are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we're North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Nevada. We have agencies or departments who are actually making requests for these kits. And, some of them are like, listen, we'll line item this, we'll pay for them, we're saying, but we want this to be a community initiative. And that's why we really seek donors in regards to that. And that's like Kevin's thing. He really does a lot in reference to that. But so 3,000 we've actually been able to donate up to this particular time. if we have the donors, we could have donated 30,000 by now, right? And the wonderful thing about it is that, again, these folks are saying, we will line item these, we'll pay for these, but in order for us to truly get the outcome that we're seeking, one is to mediate, right, that stress, strain, and anxiety, but the other is to make certain that we're connecting communities. And so this is not a first responder initiative, it's really a community initiative. And the involvement of the entire community means that the community as a whole is going to be vested.
When you get a team building event like this and you get the media involved, and you're going to get just a bigger wow factor than a department line item and saying, hey, we're going to.
That's right.
Right. Now, is this a for-profit organization, or is this?
No, we run this through the Playtime Therapy Sheets Foundation.
You do? Good. That's awesome.
When it's interesting because James and I was just working out, and we all three we talk periodically in the gym. It wasn't us setting out to create another opportunity or another entrepreneurial opportunity. It was really just two dads thinking, you know what, we could do some good in our community. Why don't we take care of Matthews Police Department, Mid Hill Police Department?
Right.
Let's just we'll just fund it. We'll create these kits and we'll give it to them. What happened is that their communications team for those agencies reached out to the media, and we ended up receiving press. And one of the press that we received was from Spectrum, and that turned into a national story. And once that went national, we got feedback. We started to get inquiries from other agencies wanting the kits. Well, we can't fund that. So it's like, well, why don't we just open this up for individuals who are looking for some type of way to give back to the community to be able to participate with us. One of the things that James and I agree on is that this is a organic play. We are not trying to garner any type of attention, and we want to work with sponsors who truly want to give without receiving.
Love.
Right. So if you look at any of the 5 million impressions or 38 media outlets that did stories on us this year, we pushed our sponsors and the first responders to the reporters. We are not. We stay. This is the only reason why we're a part of this is because of our shirts. So we're not treating this as an entrepreneurial opportunity.
Got it.
This is really
just to giving back to the community.
And at our age, we're pretty content where we are in life. So we're not trying to, increase our revenue by trying to do good in the community. We don't have enough people doing good in the community.
Right.
We all need to start doing good in the community.
What you guys are doing is fantastic. Amazing. Now, is there going to be a 2.0? Are you going to get a different type of sheet for this, or are you going to kind of continue with the program with the bed sheets, and this is the same?
We receive feedback. This is a 2.0. Well, actually, we have some different items based on some feedback that we got from the hospitals.
Okay.
And also, James and I were talking. He said, "Why don't we add some first responder vehicles to the sheets?" As far as what we
there you go. That's a good idea. Like an ambulance or fire. Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
And not only that, I'm sorry, Kev, but not only that, there was conversations we were having. Remember, we talked about the narrative. And Kevin was able to get words on these redisposables as well. So what will happen now is we'll be able to utilize words, commitment, loyalty, those type things.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to place those on there so we can also help try to modify and change that narrative.
The only feedback I'm going to give you is, what do kids like? Candy. Put some kind of candy.
No.
Like, oh, Mom, there's bubble gum in here. Look. Oh. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Parents being in an uproar.
Oh, my Lord. No, that's the only feedback I can give. No, kids love candy. No, this is fantastic, man. So do you think in the future you'll have ambulance, fire, and then loyalty?
It's on here now.
Yep.
These are the version 2.
Got it. Okay, got it.
From the first version that we were using.
No,
the items here are all, again, they're curated. Can we choose some more items? We'll see. We're always, what's in the best interest of the child is what, like you said, that's what we're trying to achieve here.
What's the goal for 2025?
So for James and I, we have not had any issues when it comes to sponsors, right? And kids for kids, because to be honest, corporations just get it, just like 2 dads just got it, 3 dads just got it. But what we decided to do is that
I'm sorry, I'm almost 4 dads now.
Yeah, Micah's a month away.
Yeah.
Micah.
Yeah. I never forget about my former students, man. I can't do that.
But we're starting to get inquiries from states where we have no relationship.
Right.
And we have to look at partnering with companies who have a footprint in those areas. So, one of the companies that's a great sponsor with us is Walmart. And,
Wow.
And Walmart wants to do a 10 city with us. So that's going to help us to accomplish 10 additional agencies in 10 different cities where we don't have a relationship. But really, we have to now forge relationships with corporations that have a footprint so that we can provide those.
How did you get Walmart?
I had a relationship with them with my Playtime Adventures. We did some activations with our bed sheets.
Yeah.
I reached out to them. They have always been great sponsors and supporters of Playtime Adventures. They did not hesitate when we told them about the first responder kit for kids. We did our first event in Memphis. It was a great success, and we provided the sheriff's department.
How many did they commit to for 2025?
Well, we're looking at 10 cities, right? So once January comes, we're going to sit back down and
Put a
go over
projection.
that, right?
Got it.
But even right now, we got a request from the Asheville Police Department. We sent 150 units, and that was because of the sponsorship of Blue Cross Blue Shield and Teleflex in Raleigh.
Have a website?
Yes, first responders, kids for the number 4 kids.org.
Say that one more time.
First responders, kits4kids.org.
Kits.
Plural.
Got it. We'll put that on the link. Anything else you guys want to wrap up and say to the audience?
No, we appreciate you having us.
If anybody wants to sponsor, how do they get in touch with you?
They can contact us through our website. So they can go to first responder kits4kids.org. We have contact information.
Do you have a Facebook page?
We do. We have a Facebook page as well. First Responder Kits for Kids.
Same.
So there's many different ways that they can find
The
us.
Facebook website,
And
that's no Instagrams or TikToks or any of that.
No.
Just basically Facebook. Yeah, I don't blame you.
and LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, man. This is really cool. And hopefully this podcast and all the things we're doing will help you guys in the future.
Thank you, brother.
Right, thank you. We appreciate you.
You got it, man.